Hello guys, Crypto Carlos here, Carlos Lopez de Lara again. In our previous video we learned how to migrate our Byron wallet to a new Shelley wallet, and we actually created also a new address so that we can get some funds to create our Stakepool certificate. And this is what we are going to learn how to do now. I am showing you my screen now, and this is actually a real terminal. This is Jormungandr running, but this is kind of a terminal, but it is not. It is actually a text file, and in this text file what I did is I just saved my session from the terminal so that it is like a post-mortem analysis of what was going on. Okay, so let's see what is the next step. We now have some funds to create our Stakepool certificate. Okay, so let's create the Stakepool certificate and let's send it to the blockchain so that we can be elected as a slot leaders. Okay, and the first thing is I wanted to know if I did downloaded the scripts that I am going to use. And yes, I did. I am going to use the create stakepool.sh. This is a script. And I also will use the send certificate. How do you download the certificates? Well, you go to here, to Jormungandr QA in the input-output repository, and there you go to scripts, and from scripts you are going to need the create stakepool.sh. That is the file. You go to raw, and from there you go click on the right button and save as, and you save it. I already have it, so I'm canceling this, and you will also need to run this script. This script actually runs another script, which is the send certificate. See, this script runs this other script, so we are going to need it. And let's go to send certificate, and let's click in row and download it, save it as, and that's that. Okay, once you have saved them and you have it in your same directory where you have all your files, and in particular Jormungandr, JCLI, and Cardano wallet, you need to give it some permissions to execute. So you do that with the chmod command. You do chmod plus x create stakepool.sh, the full name with this extension. And let's do the same for the send certificate script, and do the same for the delegate account, because I am going to use it later to delegate some stake to my Stakepool. Okay, so how to use the Stakepool, the create Stakepool script? If you type it into the terminal, it will give you the help, and it tells you what parameters you need to input. You need to give it the rest list import, you need to give the tax value, you need to give the tax ratio, and you need to give your account secret key. So this is what I am doing here. I am doing / create stakepool.sh, the rest list import, which is 3100 in my case, and I am, for my Stakepool, I am setting a 0 tax value, meaning that I am not taking any fixed cut, and I am doing a 5% tax ratio here, and I am giving my secret key. Remember that in my previous video I did store the secret key in an environmental variable so that I can have it handy, and this is what I am doing it. You can actually copy paste your secret key here so that it might be easier, or you can store it in a file and just make the command read it from the file, whatever method you like. I like this one. Okay, so when you run this command, Perhaps just a quick tool before I run that, because you can go to Pool Tools to find out which are the correct parameters that you might want to experiment with. If you go to Pool Tools, you see all the blockchains that are running, and you can go to the rewards, which is the real one, and go to Explore. And in Explore, you can list all the stake pools that are already set up and running. And let me just order them by the tax ratio. And as you can see, the ratio ranges from 100%, and I guess this is someone doing it just for himself, or you can find someone that is doing 0%. And with 0%, you are not doing any business. So I don't know, I don't understand what's going on here with those extremes, but let's see something in the middle. The truth is that people is experimenting with something around 5%, and that is what I'm gonna do. See? So this is why I'm taking just the 5% and see, perhaps in the next epochs I will move that parameter according to what it really brings to me as a stake pool operators, and what kind of rewards I am giving to the people that delegates to me, okay? So, well, you run that script and you will have this blockchain details. This is the Genesis block hash, the parameters that you just gave to the script. And the first part that the script is going to do is create the Prf keys. If you don't know what the Prf, I really recommend that you go and take a look on my video on Ouroboros Genesis, where I explain how Ouroboros Genesis works. And I think that is a very good video if you are not familiar with proof of stake algorithm and how it works, in particular Ouroboros. That video will solve a lot of your questions. And if you have more questions, please come to me and let me know. I will try to solve those doubts that you might have. But for now, let's just say that this script is going to create your Prf keys, and it will also create your key evolving signature keys. You will also need these keys. And in my video on Ouroboros Genesis, we also talk a little bit about why you need this key evolving signature. So please watch those videos if you have questions about this. And then you can now create the stake pool certificate using both the Prf and the key evolving signatures keys. Once you have the stake pool certificate, it is signed with your secret key, and then you send it to the blockchain. To send it to the blockchain, you can see here that there is a fee. This fee is of about 500 ADA. This ADA must be not real ADA, but test ADA that you should have in your balance right now. And if you had your ADA in Daedalus or in Yoroi at the time of the snapshot, then you can run this process and access those test funds, okay? And in my previous video, I showed you how to create a transaction to actually access those funds, okay? So this is the amount I will have to pay for the certificate of my stake pool, and this is the process of creating a transaction. Creating a transaction by hand is kind of time consuming, and there is a lot of chance to make mistakes and can be a little bit frustrating. This is why I use scripts, but you should try at least a couple of times to do a transaction manually in testnets, in another testnet like Nightly, for example, because it is very important that you understand what is going on with these scripts and what the scripts are doing, and to understand why you need to, for example, add the certificate to the transaction, finalize a transaction, what is a witness for that transaction. You actually have to do it by hand and do it yourself and get your hands a little bit dirty with this. and then you can feel a little bit more comfortable with running the scripts, okay? After I run the script, it shows the transaction info, and then it goes to seal the transaction, authorize the transaction, and encodes and sends the transaction to the blockchain, removes the temporary files, because when you are creating a transaction by hand, you will notice that you have to create a lot of temporary files that you will get rid of later. So this script removes the files for you, and now we are waiting for a new block to be created. And after a new block is created, we have sent a transaction, and we can now retrieve our Stakepool ID. And this is what you get here in your Stakepool details information. And this is the final line of the output of the script. And this tells you what you have done. You have created a Stakepool with this ID. And this is very important piece of information, because you are going to use it for other people to delegate to your account. You will need this to delegate to your Stakepool, sorry. You will need this node ID, because this is how people can delegate. With this information, people can delegate to your Stakepool, okay? This is your Stakepool owner address, and the parameters you set, like tax value 0 and 5% cut. And the output of this script also creates a very useful file, because this is the node secret YAML file. You are going to use this file to run Jormungandr, to run your node as a candidate, as a leader candidate. So you will really need this file, and you have it. You have it now, because the script creates that for you. So the next part of the process will be to restart Jormungandr as a leader candidate, okay? For that, we are going to edit our config YAML file, because we need the file to be suited for this. And what you're going to do is you will have to add some storage, and you have to make sure that you have your listen and your public addresses configured properly. I guess I did this since the beginning. If you go back to the previous video, you will see that I already changed my config YAML file there. So I'm not going to do it now, but if you haven't done it by this time, this is the time to do it, because otherwise you are not having the proper configurations to run as a leader candidate. And there is a nice tip for those of you running macOS, and I don't know if it may happen in Linux. I have no clue at all about Windows. I haven't been using Windows since, I guess, 2008 or so. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with Windows anymore. But if you are using macOS, you may run into a too many open files error. If it has happened to you, you need to change your user limit, open files limit, and you do that with this command. ulimit -n, and I am setting it to 4096. The standard or the default is 256, which is too low, and this is why I am doing it with 4096. And this command gives you no output, so you just enter, and that's that. Remember, this is a text file, it won't do anything. But if you do it in your terminal, it won't do anything either, okay? Rather than just changing it in the background. And well, this is the time for us to cancel the Jormungandr node that we are running now. And until now, we are running a passive node, and we need to start it again as a leader candidate node. And you use this command, .jormungandr ---- genesis block, the hash of the genesis block ---- config, the already configured config YAML file, and a new parameter, ---- secret, and node secret YAML. This is the file that came with your certificate, okay? And it is stored in the same directory where you have all your files. And with that, when you start your Mongander again with this command, you will be initializing it as a leader candidate. So from now, your pool ID is subject to receive delegations, and you will be eligible to produce new blocks in the Shelley Incentivized Testnet. The next step will be to delegate your own stake to your own stake pool, and obviously very important to register your stake pool with the Cardano Foundation so that others may find you, and that will happen in another video.